It's going to be hard to do because it fits too big for you.
Right.
But try to
Yeah,
just snap your head
banging around.
Just try to snap your head down.
Oh!
So you don't need your hands.
Hello, armor enthusiasts. Adam Savage at Chris Gilman's shop down in LA, sir. Chris makes and builds and rents spacesuits, but also you are an armor aficionado, doesn't come close. Tell me about this. I have never seen a suit of personally owned armor that is this beautiful yet in my life, man.
Well, brief history. So the more you know about a subject, the more your tastes get refined to what's possible. Yeah. And of the 100 or 150 people that make armor, there's probably 6 of them that I would buy armor from now because it is sculpture, it is mechanic, it is tailoring, it's technology, and real armor is so far and above what people think it is in far as performance and comfort and everything, that this armor was started, we looked at the Maximilian armor in one of your other videos, and that was done by Robert McPherson, who is arguably probably the best armorer in the world. You should look him up. Hard to find his work, but the Armor Archive on internet has some stuff. His work is unbelievable. Anyways, he did the Maximilian, and I thought, if you go to Ferrari, you don't order a pickup truck.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was looking at a variety of armors, and he said, he was getting a little frustrated because I thought, well, I like the helmet of this, and I like this, and I like that. And I love this quote. He goes, you should pick a style and revel in it.
What a great phrase.
It is perfect because
he comes from a source of knowledge, knowing that once you understand why all those pieces are together, you will understand the style. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
My moment, I grew up in the 70s, you grew up in the 70s. I never really liked 70s furniture, shag carpeting and acrylic. And I saw Architectural Digest of a masterwork 70s era house that they had restored to best 70s. It was stunning. I wouldn't want to live there.
Right.
It was stunning. And I realized, pick a style and revel in it. So we decided to do this Greenwich armor.
This is the Greenwich armor.
So the thing about later Greenwich armor, this is from 1587. There are actually about 5 armors that look very similar to this, have the exact same decoration. They're the middle of the road decoration. It looks pretty flamboyant, but this is middle of the road.
This is middle of the road for the time.
It was. And very few of them were what we call white. Very few of them were plain undecorated. Most later Greenwich armors were fully decorated. And they were blued like this. We'll get to that. Because Queen Elizabeth is on the throne, there is no king to upstage. So all the courtiers can go nuts.
I see. They might have held back some of the decorations they want, so they don't want to show up the king. Yeah. But now that it's Queen Elizabeth, they can wear whatever they want.
And they want to impress her. So you first had to buy a license from the crown to get the Royal Armory to make you the armor.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I'm not paying for the armor,
right.
A license. And that was, I've been told, that's around $250,000 in today's dollars. And then the armor could be anywhere from $500,000 to a couple million. So an armor like this, back in the day, would be a $500,000 or $600,000, $700,000 armor. Today, if you were to commission this, and I was very lucky, I had an incredible team on this armor. First, Robert McPherson, who then damaged his elbows, and he couldn't finish some of the heavier plates for the jousting exchange pieces, which I'll show you. So it sat for like 6 years in my shop.
Halfway done.
Yeah, the pauldrons weren't done, these tassets weren't done, the gauntlets weren't finished, and the helmets were roughed out.
Right.
Jeff Wasson, who you've met.
We know Jeff very well. He's a lovely guy.
Jeff is fantastic. And I mean, you just had Enzo Ferrari working on your car.
Right.
Right? And now you got to find someone else to take it over. It's got to be daunting for anybody.
It's really tense.
Right?
Yeah.
Plus, this is a huge garniture of tons of pieces. So it's bigger than any one single armor. It's almost 2 complete armors.
Right. And what you're describing is that a regular armor harness of the time wasn't just a single suit of armor. It had many different attachments, like all the things we use in the modern world, that allowed it to be used under different circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah. You could mix and match parts for tournament and war. Now, the idea of a decorated armor like this, of a parade armor, completely wrong. These were armors of war. These armors were being commissioned for the Spanish Armada, the Spanish invasion. There was a storm, some ships sank, armored, the invasion didn't happen, and they had all these cool armors, and so they went jousting in them.
Wow.
So, as I said, there is a couple of these armors. One's in the Wallace Collection in London, which is the primary source for research. There's one in the Metropolitan Museum of Art that looks almost exactly like this.
Yeah.
And there are some fragments here and there. There's a piece in Chicago. Well, Max started this armor, damaged his elbows, it sat. And then Jeff Wasson, I look around, Jeff, would you be interested in taking this over? And I could tell he was like, but he loved the challenge.
Yeah.
And Jeff did a couple pieces, and there was a couple modifications to be done, and he called me up and he goes, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking of this. This is terrible. I'm going to remake it completely. And that was the one thing I liked about Mac, Robert McPherson.
Yeah.
When you do something that's, you know it's supposed to be right.
Right.
And you don't go, it's good enough.
It's good enough.
And Mac made the feet on these and realized he made them wrong. And he threw them out and started over. Because he's the kind of guy, and that's the type of craftsman. I try to aspire to be that type of craftsman where if you're hiring me for my expertise, that's what you're hiring me for. I had, in Jeff Wasson and Ron McPherson, two of the best working armorers today to do this. Now it comes to me.
So Robert started it, Jeff finished it, but when we say finished, he didn't deliver this to you.
He delivered clean, unheat-treated armor. Now, after, talk about heat treating.
Yeah.
After about 1350, almost all quality armor was hardened steel.
Huh.
Now, the difference between hardened steel and iron is like the difference between my bulletproof vests here in the rental department that are made out of nylon and the real ones are made out of Kevlar. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And you see these tests with guys shooting arrows. Oh, it went right through. That's because you're using a piece of soft, mild
Armor
steel.
from Poland or, yeah.
This is hardened steel. I bet this would stand up against a modern 9mm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really tough stuff. Armor also varied in thickness depending on the part. Breastplate is probably twice as thick as the backplate.
Right, of course.
Because
that's the direction someone's shooting at you from.
So I get this white armor. Now Mac was hesitant to do the decoration because in order to do the decoration, it's hard to tell with this, everywhere there's etching, the metal is sunk. So if you run your finger along, you can feel the step down. So that means everywhere you see gold, the armorer had to take the metal and step it back like this.
Did you do all of that on this?
No, Jeff did.
Okay.
Jeff did. So I get the armor.
And it's got all the steps in it.
And I have to now heat treat it. Now there's a lot of guys that do their own heat treating, but I grew up around aerospace.
Yeah.
And I realized that heat treating is a highly, highly specialized thing. And I thought, I'm not going to risk damaging this by some monkey, as my old boss used to say, a loose nut on the handle.
Yeah.
So I had it professionally heat treated, but I braced it so that you don't get warpage. And then I had to decorate it. Etching started in the end of the 15th century, beginning of the 16th century, was used in printing and then almost immediately applied to arms, like swords and armor.
Right.
Now you wouldn't put this in a vat of acid. They didn't use acid.
I've always wondered that about the etching on armor, because I understand that it is an acid reaction, but I had trouble thinking of them sinking these parts into vats.
Exactly. I mean, it's a huge part you'd have to put in.
Exactly.
Plus, all of these rolls are hollow.
Right.
They're not solid. A lot of people think this is solid chunk welded on. No, this is this metal folded out, folded over, rolled. This is bumped out, it's roped, all that's hollow, which means I'd have to seal it all in order to etch it.
Right.
So Robert McPherson had done a bunch of research on etching pastes, and then for the Chicago Museum, there was a Nova special where they did a breastplate and they did some more research on the etching paste. But I saw the results and the etching was incredibly shallow. And when you look at the real pieces, and I was able to get photographs, in fact, I took a photograph with my iPhone through the case, and I could zoom right into where one of these dots was like this big. It was incredible, the detail I could see. And I could see it was deep. So I did about 100 tests with this etching paste recipe, because the recipe doesn't give you the quantities.
The amounts,
They just tell you use this, use it. And it turns out it's salt and the finest salt you can get. So they make salt flour.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, they make popcorn salt, which is really fine. Yeah. But salt flour is even finer. You can get it on Amazon. Copper sulfate, which is weed killer. And then the problem is when you start etching, you see a copper layer start forming on the steel, and that stops off the reaction. So I'd only have so much etching depth before it would etch anymore. I thought, I need something to get like a conveyor, chemical conveyor. I'm not a chemist.
To move that copper.
Get that copper out of there.
Right.
Well, my brother said, hey, have you ever thought of bone charcoal? They use it for hardening and hardening guns. And I did some research on bone charcoal. Turns out it's also used to absorb copper in water.
What?
Yeah. So I used wood charcoal and bone charcoal. And at one point I was rinsing the stuff off in the sunlight. And as the paste is rinsing away, I could see these little microscopic spires of copper.
Oh,
it was so cool.
So I'm just really wrapping my head around this. You literally did every bit of all of the etching that I can see with the paste.
Yes.
It makes so much more sense that it's paste because you can really just guide it to exactly where you want it. But how many hours of etching did you have to allow to get this incredible depth you got?
So it turns out about 3 90-minute etches.
Okay.
I tried longer, I tried shorter, I tried adding heat, I tried adding more liquid.
Yeah.
I started using vinegar with the mixture. And then out of the blue, some made a comment, some chemist said, oh, you don't need the vinegar, you could just use distilled water. I'm like, really? I've been using vinegar this whole time.
Yeah.
I used distilled water, worked even better. And I went back to thank him and he took his comment down. So I have no idea who it was, but he was right. So after about 100 tests of this etching paste, I came up with this like 90-minute
You got what you wanted.
And it seemed to be getting deeper. Now, artwork. Now I can't draw. I mean, technical drawing, okay, but life drawing. And so I was very daunted about what am I going to do about all this work? Because normally it's painted on with a resist and then you etch it. Toby Capwell, Dr. Toby Capwell was the curator of Arms and Arbiter Wallace. He supplied me with a bunch of really good photographs. I also got access to the piece so I could actually take photographs. And so I used finals.
Oh, these are your etch and resists.
So what I did is I drew them on the computer. I had a tablet that I could draw on, and then I could zoom way in and really adjust it to try to get the
tracing the actual
and then I could tune it. You know, like I just tell people that my brother, who's an incredible illustrator, there's one point between A and B that represent exactly what you're trying to draw. There's 999 that are wrong. I'll draw 900 of them and erase all the ones that are farthest away. My brother would draw the right one. Right? So I realized I could do all the erasing I needed to.
Yes.
And so here is some of the border there.
Incredible.
And that's one of the zigzag patterns. And then this is off the other helmet. And then here's some of the other patterns.
I'm noticing that this zigzag pattern is different than this one, which tapers, which is different than, I mean,
there's
I can only imagine how many different
boxes of this stuff. And of course, you've got to cut it. And I was astounded at my cutter and how well it cut, how nice
that's really amazing.
Yeah, it did really nice. Then it came to weeding it to get rid of all the excess and getting everything right so I could weed it without ripping up huge chunks. And then put the cover plate on. Well, eventually, I started with the greaves. I figured that's the farthest thing away. And if I mess it up, you know, and I got much better. And so as you can see,
you saved this for last?
I saved the upper piece of some of the reason.
Fair.
And then all the dots in the back,
Yeah.
those are applied with a number 26, I think it was, needle bottle, all individually.
From the back?
No, with a needle bottle, putting dots of resist. And I started off with nail polish.
Yeah.
And then realized, wait a minute, you're putting salt and copper sulfate. Why not use something that's resistant to salt? Marine paint.
Oh, amazing.
And marine paint worked great.
Okay, after you've done the etching and you got all the dots and you got all the patterns, there's still the gilding and the bluing.
Yes. Okay, so I originally wanted to fire gild this. I really wanted to do mercury gilding. It turns out I had 5 pounds of mercury that we found in my brother's house when he moved in, instrument grade. And there's a local auction company that had a fume hood that was super cheap. Normally fume hoods are monstrously expensive. These sold for $500. I finally decided to do it electroplating. So I did brush plating. So the process, I have a chart that there's 40 steps for each piece, from the heat treating to the polishing, all the way to the final bluing and lining.
Am I correct that the bluing is really just a function of heating till it's at that point? in terms of getting the super even heat, are you doing that heating in an oven or on like a bed of brass swarf? What is the process?
I'm doing it in a scientific oven, and the same oven we use for doing our visor plastics, because we want to get the plastic super even that we make our spacesuit visors.
So it's you're going, you know the exact temperature that you get the color you want.
But it's interesting. It's really hard because there's enough variant from the bottom of the chamber to the, even though it's a convection oven.
What?
There's enough temperature difference. So you'll see flashes of purple in this and flashes of lighter blue.
And that's from where it was in the oven.
And it only takes 5 to 10 degrees difference and it changes the color.
That's incredible.
So it was really very daunting.
That you did the bluing and had to redo it?
No, luckily I'd have to redo. I don't think I had to redo. I think I might have redone one piece, but I did have to redo some of the gold because the gold is electroplated over nickel.
Yeah.
And I think what would happen is the nickel would discolor a little bit and sometimes burn the gold. Other times, like this, it would have this really super rich color like it should. And
the sharpness, the reflectiveness on the zigzag that's going through is really beautiful.
Yeah. And I was originally thinking I would do these dots in silver.
Yeah.
Because all the original finish, except for the gold, all the original finish is gone off the real armor.
Right.
Except for a little tiny blue in the visor area and on the gauntlet. And then as I did it, I realized, no, these dots should be much more subtle. They should be knocked back, but they're the electric blue. They're the blue color. So they have to be cleaned, masked, so when you gold plate it, you don't gold plate the dots. And then when you blue it, they turn blue.
Amazing.
So we can take a look at some of the pieces. So right now we have what is known as an armet. And an armet is a type of helmet that has the cheeks that hinge open, and a closed helm is one that it opens off the pivots on the side.
Okay.
So this armet has a visor reinforce, and this protects even more of your face in a charge. So you can take this visor reinforce off with a snick hook.
Amazing.
Again, all hardened steel.
May I? Oh.
And you see, it's not really heavy.
Yeah. No, but I can feel how hard it is. Yeah. That's the thing. I can, its hardness feels like weight to this.
Yeah.
To my hands. That's amazing.
Now, the alloy that we used is modern alloy known as 1050. And it's probably the closest modern equivalent to what they were trying to get. If an armorer could choose the metal, this is probably what they would have used. So we have the reinforced piece. Then you can see the visor has breadths on both sides. And it has double sets of eye slots. It has a release over here on this side. It's got my head cast underneath. Also notice that it rotates on the collar.
Nice.
So it's locked to the collar. The first time Jeff put this on me, he's just got temporary padding in it, and put it on, and he closed it up, and he walked over there, and I said, "Hey Jeff, are you going to lock it to the collar?" And he goes, "It is." I had no idea when I was moving my head that it was attached to the collar.
Amazing.
That's how fluid.
That's really cool.
How fluid. So we have a push catch over here. We push this, and we can open up the whole visor.
Oh God, look at that! It's so pretty.
I mean, it should click.
Yeah.
You also have a catch here, up here, that you can push and just open the upper portion of the visor.
Amazing.
So you'd open that. Now you have a sneck hook, which I made a little tool so I can make those hooks consistent. And you pop open the sneck hook, split open the chin, and pull it out. And you can see all fully lined. And I did all the linings as well.
Oh, yeah. May I?
Show you.
Oh, my God.
In fact, hope we have the time. We'll put you in the whole thing.
What?
You can wear the upper body. It's going to be too big for you, but we want to put you in it so you can feel it.
I feel like I'm turning for permission. Can I? Can I?
and they're out there going, do it.
Yeah, no, let's totally, oh my God.
All right, well, so let's pull this apart. We'll go through each piece and pull pieces off, and I'll tell you what they are as we pull them apart. So now we have the pauldrons, and you see we have little spring catches on the top that have lanyards. So we pop those, and then we have straps here. Those come off.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Oh. Wow, it's almost sprung.
It is. And that's why you really can't do armor like this in any other material than spring steel, because it is designed to be springy. I mean, look at.
That's amazing.
I mean, you think about it. This is one piece of steel from here all the way around to here. And it's got to have that springiness. There are different types of articulation. There's leathers, which that has. There's sliding rivets. There's pivoting rivets. And this armor has all of those.
Wow.
So we'll take the gauntlet off here and try that on.
I'm going to put this on.
So Carl Robinson in the UK made me the gloves, and they're correct patterns and correct copies of periods, late 16th century gloves.
You are right. This feels substantively different than almost any other gauntlet I've had on my hand. That is...
And consider it's made for that meat hook.
Yeah, no, I get you. I can feel that it's a little large for me, but still it is, oh my God.
And you have all the movement your hand can do.
I have, yeah. Wow. Oh
and if you look, I mean, the inside's all finished. So I managed to find, so picadilles, these are called. Some of them were big, some of them were narrow. These particular ones that I'd seen were wider and shallower, and I chose that style. I managed to find on Etsy, this is 18th century velvet ribbon that was for sale.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was perfect. Yeah, so you check
so
out.
They borrowed the spacesuits borrowed from armor. That's that arm bearing on a EMU.
But notice how lightly I'm turning this, and that's just a steel stovepipe.
That's just a little stovepipe fitting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how smooth it is. And I got breastplate and backplate. You get the right.
I've got the right. Yep.
Now you'll see how also tassets are lined.
Look at that.
That's all hand. I hand pinked all of that.
Now I got to line my tassets. So pretty. Oh, I see. Oh, man.
Also, you'll notice that armor was pointed or tied to the garment. And the idea of a heavy undergarment or a gambeson, a thick gambeson, it's a completely modern thing.
Jeff Wesson disabused me of that. And I had already surmised, having bought one piece of garbage off of Etsy, that they couldn't be like the moving blanket times 4 thickness that they were. And then I saw Jeff's regular wear gambeson, and it was like this.
And this is a temporary thing that we made. It's not anywhere near what it could be correct. The correct garment should actually be like a doublet, like a men's doublet.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right.
So how about that?
Let's talk about this for a second. I can feel that it's built for someone of a different size. There's some aspects up in my chest and where my chest and shoulder geometry where I can feel how it would be far more refined if it was built for me. But at the same time, having worn a lot of cheap armor, the range of motion is shocking.
And how fluid.
At how fluid, at how absolutely fluid it is, at how most of the pieces I put on, you can't even get close to your face, right? This is...
And with full pauldrons.
Dude, this must be so much fun every time you put it on. It's hard to take off, I'll bet.
Especially by yourself.
No, sure. Oh my God. And this is about, what is this about, probably 40 pounds on my chest here? It does not feel like 35, it doesn't feel like a 40-pound pack.
No. And if it were cut for you, a lot of that weight would be sitting here in your hips.
I didn't realize, like a camping pack, they're doing some resting on the hips.
Yeah, it should be sitting like that.
Oh, that's
now move your arms.
Cool. Yeah. Oh no, I can totally. That's amazing. You know, it wasn't until I kept reading, and I was like, oh right, the word harness is a completely functional word. It is hanging.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The jousting helmet video has 25 million views and something like 11,000 comments. And almost 50% of those comments are, you can't see anything out of that helmet. But you can, and you'll see once you put this on.
Oh, I can totally fight someone in this. I mean, yeah, it's a big grate in front of me, but if you're swinging a sword and I've been training in this, wow. Oh, this is so much information.
And then you can do that.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Yeah. And then again, it comes down, boom, click, and you're ready to go.
Crazy. Whoop, let's go.
All right, the last thing is gauntlets.
Oh, right, the gloves. Oh, yeah, the gauntlets. This is my first passion was the gauntlets. Oh, my God.
I'll give you 50 cents to go sit on the bus stop.
I would walk up and down the street in LA in this. This is absolutely going out gear. Oh my Lord. Chris, thank you so much for this crazy experience. It's not just pleasurable, there's so much information I'm gleaning about armor just from moving.
Yeah.
Dude, you have given me something unique today, and I am in your debt, sir. This feels incredible. We will see you guys next time.